All right, good morning and welcome to the Big Story on Daybreak Live. Today's conversation takes us beyond the surface into the quiet places of the heart, where true change begins. Our topic is rising from within and how emotional healing shapes better leaders, families, and communities. In a fast-paced world that praises productivity over peace, many people lead, parent, or serve from a place of exhaustion rather than wholeness. But what is healing? And of course, what if healing, not also, is the foundation for better leadership and stronger communities? That's what we are unpacking on this show today. Samson Balogo is my name. Thank you for being a part of the show. At the center of this vital conversation is Olajumoke Ogudipe, founder of Unwind Africa, a lifestyle and wellness brand helping individuals, families, and teams reset, reflect, and rise. A graduate of mass communication from Olabisi Onabanjo University, a broadcaster self, and an alumna of the Faith Foundation School of Entrepreneurship. Olajumoke combines storytelling, consulting, and experience designed to inspire emotional and, of course, balance and personal renewal. She's also the voice behind Unwind and Thrive on Echo FM 89.7, where she shares heartfelt reflection on resilience, rest, and emotional clarity. With 4 new books ready for print, her work continues to spark conversations around human capacity, development, wellness, and mindful leadership. Today's discussion centers on how emotional healing goes beyond personal growth. It's about reshaping how we lead, parent, and build society. Some key talking points that we'll be looking at today is how unresolved emotional pain silently affects leadership decisions and workplace culture, why families and communities mirror the emotional health of their leaders and members, the role of self-awareness, reflection, and the rest in developing emotional intelligence, practical steps for leaders and parents to prioritize emotional healing, how creating safe spaces for vulnerability can strengthen trust and productivity and connection too. Through Olajumoke's lens, we'll see that healing is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the foundation for authentic leadership and sustainable impact. Thank you for being a part of the show. Olajumoke Ogudipe, good to have you in the studio.
Good morning, Ringa. Thank you.
There's a lot to unpack on the show this morning. And most definitely we'll be talking about what healing truly means. Some see healing as weakness, vulnerability. When can we start seeing healing as strength for the people?
Take, for instance, somebody who gets married, marries the love of his life. He has these dreams, these big dreams, this vision. He wants to be a perfect father, a perfect husband, a perfect leader. Perhaps he wants to be an entrepreneur, wants to create a world that is new, that is impactful. He has a couple of seeds in his pocket. He has what it takes to do what he says he wants to do. And then, of course, as he begins to plant, some falls on rocky ground. Some actually falls on a little bit of soil, springs up very quickly, and then dies. And he begins to wonder, what am I doing wrong? While he's at it, he keeps working at different plants, the same time. And every time he looks up, it's not to pause. It's not to regain strength. It's not to, restore his exhaustion. It is to look up and say, what is my neighbor doing? Why is the field greener on the other side? So this man is exhausted, he's tired, he's angry. A lot of people have called him a fool. He's wounded, he's sick out of extensive staying in the sun and being beaten by rain. This man, when he gets home, what kind of husband do you think he will be? He's bruised, he's hurt, his dreams are not coming alive, his work is also, as we say, is not showing forth. But instead of pausing, he comes home with bruises from his work, wounds from his exhaustion, and he begins to bleed on his family. This man is sick. We're talking about healing this morning. We do not talk about healing without talking about somebody who is sick. This person is unwell. And this is the picture of almost everybody we see around today. We are running as if something is chasing us. We are running as if we are chasing something. But oftentimes, we find out that it's simply an illusion because you don't seem to catch what you're running after. And nobody is stopping to say, something is wrong. Let me stop, and perhaps I can be restored again to see clearer, to find out a better way
of doing things.
So we go about with wounds. We become imperfect leaders. We become imperfect husbands. We become imperfect father. What would that give us? You don't function well at work. You don't function well at home. You become isolated. Because if you do not love people, if you don't love yourself, you can't love people, right? And a sick man cannot love people genuinely. He cannot. He's exhausted. He's tired. And he needs to be restored.
That takes us to defining moments. There are defining moments in one's life. And talking about healing, there are points where you get to know that, yes,
you are sick.
I am bruised and I need to heal. And people they seem to miss this particular point. They get past it so quickly that before they know, they are doing something else. How can someone determine where that defining moment is and when to pause and re-strategize?
What we have often seen is people knowing that indeed I am sick, but they are not stopping to heal. Anybody that drives, would see that when your car is about to break down, something is about to go wrong, it begins to flash lights. There are lights coming up. Okay, this needs maintenance. Your tire needs this. Same goes with our bodies. We have these signals, nagging headaches, crankiness, exhaustion. It is there. But we are not listening. On the radio this week, my co-presenter was asking me that how do I tell my boss that I need to rest? These things is not that we do not know. People talk about, I've heard it several times, people are like, I'm tired. And when somebody says, I am tired, I tend to listen. Because it's not because this person does not know that something is wrong. What he's saying to you is that I need help. I cannot stop because my family needs to be fed. My children's tuition needs to be taken care of. I need to keep going because I cannot stop. And so they do not stop until the situation becomes irreparable. Maybe they pass out at work, and we have often seen that. I was talking to my colleague sometimes ago, and she was mentioning to me a woman who was trying to get, she had seen that she had gotten to that crescendo, that height, that if I do not stop now, something might go wrong. And then she asks for a break. And then, when people look at you, you look fine, makeup and all. People can pass and you just look. But when people say, I am not fine, please let us listen. When they say, I'm tired, let us listen. And then the day that she would faint at work, they rushed her to the hospital and it was late. And we have seen these cases over and over and over. Wives are losing their husbands, husbands are losing their wives, children are losing their parents. And when that happens, what do you think would we have children out there with no proper care, children who have not been groomed, who have not been nurtured to stand on their own feet, to learn, because those who were supposed to train them, they have driven themselves to intense exhaustion, and they have now passed. So these kids, in their young age, they are forced to go to the street to take decisions they are not supposed to take, because they were thrust out there out of the irresponsibility. I would say irresponsibility, because the first responsibility of a parent is to stay alive. And it's not just a parent. The same applies to a visionary leader. You are building something. You have a passion. You are building a dream. You have a dream. You want to change the world. Okay, so you have this innovative idea. You are working on it. But we know that this is this body you're using, right? And you are not taking care of it. And so when you fall and you die and you are built to a certain height, but it's a height that, if somebody takes it up from there, these hands that are taking it up, they are still frail. They are not steady enough to take it a lot higher. That's why we see around now, companies are folding up. Dreams are dying because the brains behind them died too quickly. Yes. That is the story that we see so often, especially in our nation, Nigeria.
Now, very quickly, you mentioned something, just now about other people noticing when people need help. But oftentimes you overlook and then just by appearance you think, oh, he's okay, nothing is wrong. I mean, you complain to people, I'm having slight headache, oh, you'll be fine. Let's just get over this. Let's get this done before you rest. I mean, these has affected so many people, even at workplaces. Exhaustions do happen. Personal businesses, you are working too hard and then you want to get things done. And even when you need help, people are not saying that you need help. Now, from the angle of people who are actually from family members, colleagues, who are meant to spot that this person actually needs help, needs rest, how do they determine, how can they know that this person actually needs to slow down?
Okay, so it is human nature to be sensitive. There are sometimes you look at someone, or their names or their thoughts just drops in your heart. And you know that this person is not fine. Makeup cannot cover it. The physical calmness cannot cover it. In fact, what I have seen is if somebody who is generally maybe like a normal person begins to talk too much, there's a problem. Those are indications.
The signs.
Yes. Or somebody who talks, normally withdraws is another problem. So let somebody ask, are you okay? And when somebody says, I'm fine, don't take it like that. If the person is fine, you will know. And I would say if you do not want to know, don't ask. Like somebody happens to ask me, how are you, on a day that I am not fine. Be ready to listen. You can joke. I'll say, sit down. I am not fine. This. Or hug me. I am not fine. But generally what we need, what can solve this situation is us staying in a community. Is us staying. So Nigeria has always been a community-driven kind of nation. Family meant something. Society meant something. Church, mosques, people are always in groups of people who truly cared. But now, over the past few years, there's this isolation. Everybody is living online. There
used to be a time when you missed church service. You will see people in your house.
Of course.
They will knock your door. We can't find you in church today.
What
if you
happened?
miss prayers at the mosque, people will come to your place and say, what exactly is the problem? Why are you not here? But all of a sudden, in the last 15, 20 years, it slowed down.
How many people are asking these days? They will say, my own is enough for me. But you do not know that if you show up for somebody somebody else will show up for you. That is the benefit of being in a community. And the community that is mutually, beneficial. You love me, I love you. I am concerned about you. So when you are not so strong, I can see it, I can feel it. I can step in for you. And if there's in the workplace too, we can have such community. You want to employ somebody, the moment you give them the offer letter, they become part of the family. Which means you do not always complain when they tender, I would like to go on leave. I do not have to be sick to go on leave. Why is a system created if you know you do not want me to go on leave? When I'm tired, I need rest. If you have given me a few weeks of the year, would I need to always come back with a doctor's report? Sometimes I just need to stop, just for a while.
And take a break.
Yes, I always say, we're big fans. I teach entrepreneurship, human capacity development. I am a big fan of thriving. I'm a big fan of teaching people to succeed. But we need to begin to balance it. If we do not balance it, we will not achieve the success we so teach so.
Was about to say that some people say stress truncates creativity. Is that right?
It does. When you are, in fact, rest, the word rest only applies to those who are working. Anybody who is lazy, you don't. What do you need rest for? But when you were working and you were working and you were working and you are stressed, you start to decline in terms of creativity. But this that I'm saying, it has happened, I've experienced it firsthand. I'm able to come up with the best things while I am pausing, while I'm resting. Sometimes, when I'm resting, it comes alive. I'm like, what kind of idea is this? If I were still at it, trying to figure out, oh, yes, this thing must work. It must work. It must work. You're making mistakes after mistake after mistakes. Or perhaps you're not even making mistakes. The things are working. But we know that the things that work also stresses. So when we pause, we have the best time to rejuvenate, to renew used fuel as it is. And then when we come back up, you might have maybe the next idea that will shift whatever you're pushing 10 years ahead. Because you decide to pause, to rest. There's something they say in Yoruba, Ojo Oku Ojo Simi or something. I don't know what kind of thing is that. Whoever came up with that I don't understand. What is that? So when you die, what happens? What continues? The world continues without you. But everything you are supposed to do right here stops. You live with everything you're supposed to give humanity.
Sometimes unfulfilled.
Very much so. Very much so. A lot of people who, have gotten to the hospital enough time, given in a few more maybe days before they die. I'm sure if you're able to interview them and ask what are your regrets, you'll be shocked at what they will say.
Okay, let me go into this very quickly. I have this triple T acronym. I mean, it's more or less like a philosophy. Okay. Take note, take care, and take charge. Now, these are things I do by myself. But you have this particular one, rest, reflect, and rise. So what inspired this philosophy of yours?
Rest, reflect, and rise. When you rest, it's a place of calmness. And what calmness gives you is clarity. Everything that seemed to be gray, all the gray areas, begins to light up. It's just the natural way. It's just the natural way. Everything that seems to be dying out, when you pause from it and just sit back and say, let me just take a break on this. It brings clarity. And when you have clarity, you have a chance of a do-over. And when you have a chance of a do-over, you often always do it right. And when that happens, of course you rise. Of course you rise. And it applies across board. Across board. In your relationships, in your workplace, in your community, if you're a leader, this applies across board. Okay, so if you're losing people around you, why am I losing people? Perhaps I have an analogy of a man who says, follow me and I will give you gold. And perhaps once upon a time, he had the gold to give. But when the people followed him, they realized that he didn't really have this gold. Perhaps he had overworked himself and used up the gold without refilling, going to mine new ones, or, And when they noticed that, what do? He loses credibility with them. They stop trusting him. When they stop trusting him, they stop following him. He stops becoming that impactful leader. It stops becoming that giver. And somebody like that, if he eventually finds other people following him, they eventually be like him or worse. Empty, they have nothing to give, because the one who is leading them has nothing to give as well.
So followers often emulate the characters of the leaders.
Eventually, if they are not wise enough to live, they copy. And that applies to families a lot. If you check it, the way the father behaves, the way the mother behaves, always screaming. When you're exhausted, you scream. You scream. When you're tired, you are tired. You are not resting. What comes out of it is you are cranky all the time. And when you are cranky all the time, your decisions, the way you approach things, everything begins to reflect on your feelings, your emotions, anger, unforgiveness, a lot of things that you're supposed to tidy very quickly. You can't tidy it. And so the children start looking. That's how daddy does it. Daddy screams at it. You don't scream at situations. The world, things do not change because you shout a little louder. What happens is you get more results in the quiet time. Yes, in the quiet time.
You created Unwind Africa.
Yes.
What inspired you? And what is Unwind Africa about?
Okay, so after the COVID, I began to notice a few things. Nigeria has always, we were known for something, something. And we were called one of the happiest nations in the world, right?
On earth.
But I began to see that we were losing something. And it wasn't oil. It was joy.
Not oil, but joy.
It was joy. Before then, people were not, the nation had its own challenges. Almost like what we have today, just a few other dimensions. But we were still called one of the happiest nations of the world. But people began to frown. People began to get a lot more exhausted. They began to lose their happiness. So I said, okay, this is not, and they began to stay more isolated. We started seeing more cases of suicide, right? I said, okay, we can't do everything, right? But we can do something. Let's create a concept. Let's create a community where people can unwind, a system where people can relax, rejuvenate, and then come back up and do better. That way you find yourself, you find your peace, you find your joy, and then you're able to do better. And so that's what Unwind Africa is about. We partner with resorts, hotels, spa companies, cinema houses to help, people have discounted access to, rejuvenating methods. I want to go for a spa. You call us and we check our contacts. Where you at? Okay, so I live in these places. We check. Okay, this is where you can access at a discount because you are in the community. Yes, so that's what we're able to bring. And then we came up with a concept. It's called Nominate to Unwind.
Okay.
Now, so that Nominate to Unwind helps us to see the value of the community. So somebody looks inside and checks the people around him or her and say, I see you. You are tired. You need to unwind.
You need to unwind.
Yes. And put your name forward. And not only put your name forward, goes into the community and say, this person has been nominated on the Nominate to Unwind movement. Let's rally around him or her and vote him until he wins. And that has been happening every month. Yes, it has been happening. And in fact, to make it even better, we started the city nomination. And then the city nomination for November is strictly for women. Okay. Yes, it's a 20 women concept. So 20 women will be unwinding in Lagos and in Abuja. We hope we
different locations.
We hope we come to Ibadan soon.
Okay.
Yes, so we work with partners, as I said. A partner came up from Houston, and she is funding both Abuja
And Lagos.
and Lagos. And
So what plans do you have for Ibadan?
in fact, I would.
Near future?
This is a call to well-meaning corporate organizations, well-meaning individuals, even the government, who can support us on this project. We have partners giving us good discounts, yes, to pay for this, but it would change these women. It will give them a better avenue to rest, to see that they still have people who care about them, people who see them. Because a lot of these people, they have been living selflessly. They are kind people. They are just overwhelmed. And they just need somebody to say, I see you, and I think I can help you.
You should take a break.
Yes.
Okay, now, how can storytelling, we are still coming back to Unwind Africa, but very quickly I want to take this. How can storytelling, media, creative expression, tools you use to become vehicles of emotional restoration and societal change?
So you would see that a whole lot of things that I've been saying, I've been trying to insight.
You've been doing a little bit of storytelling.
We are Africans, and Africans is known for stories. In fact, the better way to send out messages is to appeal to the emotions of individuals, and nothing better appeals to people's emotions than
tell a compelling story.
Exactly. And that's what we do in the house too. We ask people to send in their heartfelt stories of different individuals. And I think that's, it would apply across board, whether you are in the media or you're trying to help us, push these stories across. You make it heartfelt. You make it believable, because it is, until it hits somebody who is able to step in and do something great about it.
Okay, now, there are so many people who ask a lot of questions about, especially people who are watching us today, and if one feels emotionally exhausted or stuck, so where does the journey to healing, where does it begin?
Number one, it's a self-reflection thing. I would always say there are two 10 two-letter words that is where that I hold there. It said, if it is to be, it is up to me. There are 2 letters each. There are 10 of them.
If it is to be, it is up to me.
Oftentimes, you cannot force people to relax. We can do as much as we are doing now, me and you, talking about it. We, Unwind Africa, coming up with concept strategies, to help people to relax. But if a man says, I cannot, there is very little we can do. I say very little because we have also found the little. They said you cannot force a donkey to the river, right? No, you can take a donkey to the river.
You can't force
it to drink water. But we have also realized that if you put salt in the donkey's mouth, he will drink water by himself. So we need to come up with strategies to force these individuals to rest by force. We have created concepts like that in Unwind Africa. We have. So we would just call us. We know we have a way. Oh, my dad is not resting. I'm worried. Something's going to happen to him. We know what to do in such cases like that.
Just like you mentioned, I was talking to a legal luminary a few days ago, and he mentioned that the day he reduced his screen time at night, it got better.
Yes, that helps too. That helps. So 30 minutes before you sleep, if you can help it. Because you see these devices, as much as they are helping us, it's very helpful. I don't know what I'll do without mine. It's very helpful. But everything should be balanced. Sleep and screen do not always work. So you would not drop your screen until you're ready to sleep. And then you find out that you eventually sleep, and then you are restless. When you wake up, it feels like you have not actually, have I slept at all? And you have.
And
You
when
can
some
wake up
people
with
even
nagging
wake up,
headache.
the next thing they do is to pick up the phone again and start over.
Right there. Right there. That's where the problem is. In fact, what's the specialist, the professional said is that leave your devices in another room. Because these things has a way of messing up with our emotions. When the first thing you take up in the morning is scroll through your day, you don't know who has dropped what. It's scroll through your WhatsApp messages, your mails. It may be good news, it may be bad news. And that messes up, especially if from the point of exhaustion, it messes up the rest of your day. And that energy is what you take up, you take out. Yes. First, it starts to reflect on your family. Then you take it to work. And why is your guy cranky now? Is it my fault? And then your employees start to react. They don't do their work as effective as they should. But imagine a man who is fully rested or a woman who is fully rested goes into work with a smile and calls everybody by name, smiling. Hey, how are you today? How was your night? What do you think? What energy do you think will come out of that office place that day? It's going to be a very good vibe because you only receive what you give.
All right, very quickly, I want to talk about, before we go, because we have about 2 minutes before the end of the show.
Oh, wow.
And there's this idea I saw from people in Asia, especially, I think, China, is that they created safe spaces for people. I saw a video of a child who was in class and was writing an exam and felt like she wanted to sleep and then left the exam, left it there, went to sleep and came back to finish the exam. That was one. Two, at airports, there are safe places. If you feel tired, you just open, it's more or less like a one-room cubicle where you can just enter and then you take a nap. And when you are done, you lock and then you walk away. These are things that are being done in Asian countries. Why can't we imbibe that character in a country like Nigeria, especially at workplaces?
I think we can. It begins with you and I. The individuals who are in the position of taking such decisions, the leaders who are looking out for the people they say they care about. If this is working in other nations, let's do it here. Let's implement it here. A safe place in a company is doable. I need to rest. I have a nagging headache. You go in there, you rest. You come back. You cannot come back not feeling okay. You may not be 100% yet, but something would have shifted. Yes, that will make you better. And that's what we should emulate. The good things that are happening all around the world. Let's bring it back home and make this Nigeria a better place. All
right, before we go on the show this morning, what would you say to our viewers this morning who, just like we said earlier, are not resting and they are doing so much?
Rest is a call. It's your right. It's your responsibility. And if you want to keep doing the things you love, you need to learn to pause because you cannot pour from an empty glass. The world is waiting for your impact, but you cannot achieve it unless you are fine. Rest, pause, and you'll be all right.
All right, Olajumoke Ogudipe, thank you for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thank you, sir.
It has been an eye-opening and, in fact, a very big one from you this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We do hope to have you on the show some other time.
I'll be glad to.
All right, and that brings us to the end of the big story on Daybreak Live. A big thank you to my guest this morning, Olajumoke Ogudipe, for reminding us that emotional healing is not a luxury. It's a leadership tool and a life skill. In fact, I want to quote that. It's a life skill. When we learn to rest, reflect, and rise, we not only become better individuals, but also build better families, better workplaces, and a better nation. Samson Balogo is my name. Until next time, keep rising from within.